So, somewhere in the middle of the page, 461, in that tremendous silence, lone and lost, of a deciding hour in the world's fate, in her soul's climbing beyond mortal time, where she stands soul with death or soul with God, apart upon a silent, desperate brink, alone with herself and death and destiny, as on some verge between time and timelessness, when being must end or life rebuild its base. Alone she must conquer or alone must fall.
So Narad is of course very honest.
Yeah.
It says that being may end. He implies that being may end.
Mm.
And he says all life rebuild its base. So he gives both possibilities.
Yeah.
And we have seen those possibilities ourselves in this life that we've lived, because World War II was that great possibility.
Mm.
And, you know, having 50 times the nuclear weapons to destroy the entire Earth is an example of man's insanity. Why would you need 50 weapons to destroy the Earth when 102 could do it? And so each one was competing with the other. And finally, this nuclear agreement came that they would not make any more, and they would begin to dismantle some of them. So
Yeah.
let us understand that life can no longer end, because life is going to continue to rebuild its base only because the dual avatars came down to bring a force which they call the supramental that stop all of this possibility of total destruction. So we'll do God now. We'll read the definitions of God.
Yeah, we do the definitions of God. The absolute, the spirit, the self, spaceless and timeless, the self manifest in the cosmos and Lord of nature. All that is what we mean by God.
All this.
All this, sorry. All this is what we mean by God. God is the all and that which exceeds, transcends the all. There is nothing in existence which is not God, but God is not anything in that existence, except symbolically in image to his own consciousness.
Now, both from the life divine.
Hmm. God is the
Go ahead.
God is the one stable and eternal reality. He is one because there is nothing else, since all existence and non existence are He. He is stable or unmoving because motion implies change in space and change in time, and He, being beyond time and space, is immutable. He possesses eternally in himself all that is, has been, or ever can be, and he therefore does not increase or diminish. He is beyond casuality
Now,
and relativity, causality.
causality.
He is beyond causality and relativity, and therefore there is no change of relations in his being. God is one, but he is not bounded by his unity.
It's
What
not.
is God of?
it's nice if you can mention the references.
Reference. Okay, yeah. So, God is one. It's from Essays in Philosophy and Yoga. And God, what is God after all? An eternal child playing an eternal game in an eternal garden, from Essays in Philosophy and Yoga.
So we see that he is beyond everything.
Hmm.
There is nothing else but him. So he is
Yeah.
everything, and he is also beyond it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he has that beautiful quote that he's an eternal child, playing an
Hmm.
eternal in an eternal garden. How beautiful.
Yeah.
Now we have to get into actually what all of this means. And we see that Savitri has to win everything or lose everything
Hmm.
for humanity.
Hmm.
In that moment, in that deciding hour of the world's fate, when she stands alone with death or alone with God, so he puts both possibilities. When she
Yeah.
stands soul with death or soul with God, at that time, she is apart, upon
Hmm.
an island, desperate brink, alone
Hmm.
herself. And she's alone with death, and she's
Hmm.
alone with destiny, as
Hmm.
as as on some verge between time and timelessness. What is a verge to you?
Like at a brim,
At,
like
at
it.
the border,
Yeah.
at the edge, yes, at
Yeah.
the limit, yes. And then he carries on about her. So
Yeah.
why don't you carry on?
No human aid can reach her in that hour. No armored god stands shining at her side. Cry not to heaven, for she alone can save.
Oh, I must compliment you on your reading. It is such a great improvement, Prema.
Mm,
I'm feeling that you feel the lines,
mm,
that you are living these lines, that something in your psychic being has so opened to the mantric vibration of these lines that has not happened before. Very, very beautiful.
yeah.
So he says, where being must end, or life rebuild its base, then she's alone, and she
Mm,
has to conquer or she has to fall.
mm,
And no human aid. In other words, he's addressing the queen here because the queen
yeah.
wanted her to choose someone else,
Yeah.
knowing that Satyavan would die in 1 year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no human aid can reach her in that hour, and no armored god stand shining at her side. So she is left alone for herself, and then she is going to realize that she is the Divine Mother and has this power. But not
Mm,
we haven't heard that yet. So
yeah.
cry not.
Cry not to heaven, for she alone can save. For this the silent foes came mission down. In her the conscious will took human shape. She only can save herself and save the world.
So now he says only she can do this. So
Yeah.
he gives us the finality of it.
Hmm.
So he tells her not to cry to heaven because only Savitri can save.
Yeah.
And for this, the silent force came mission down. We have done force before.
Yes.
Okay. So that silent force came missioned. When someone has a mission, you understand.
Yeah.
So this force came missioned down, and it's an assigned or self-imposed duty,
Mm.
and it was sent through Savitri.
Mm.
In her, the conscious will. We've done will, I think, before
Uh,
or not.
Let me check. Let me
Because
check.
will is very important in this yoga.
No, we have not done will.
Okay, so we have to do that.
Yeah.
And we can start with Sri Aurobindo. We don't need the dictionary definition, but it's an important definition. So let's begin with the energy that creates the world.
Oh, there's one before. Force of being is in conscious action is will.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Force of being in conscious action is will. The energy that creates the world can be nothing else than a will, and will is only consciousness applying itself to a work and a result. And these two are extracts from the Life Divine.
And it tells us what will really is. It's only
Mm.
consciousness.
Yeah.
So will is consciousness applying itself to a work and to a result.
Mm. Will is the pressure of a conscious force on nature. Letters on yoga. What becomes desire in the ego is will in the spirit. Life
Now
Divine.
he's going to go more deeply into this now in the synthesis of yoga.
The real motive power of the life, the real motive power of the life of the soul is will. Desire is only a deformation of will in the dominant bodily life and physical mind. The essential turn of the soul to possession and enjoyment of the world consists in a will to delight, and the enjoyment of the satisfaction of craving is only a vital and physical degradation of the will to delight. It is essential that we should distinguish between pure will and desire, between inner will to delight and the outer lust and craving of the mind and body.
So
From
Sri Aurobindo makes
Sanskrit.
it very clear what
Yeah,
will is. Will
yeah.
is the motive power of the life of the soul. But all these desires of the body, of the physical, they're just a degradation, a lowering of this will to delight.
Mm,
He says the world was formed for delight, for
yeah,
nothing else.
yeah.
And we have to make that distinction between this pure will and desire, this inner will to delight and the outer lust and craving of the mind and body. If we can make that distinction, then we have the possibility to offer it to Mother to progress.
Mm,
If we cannot make that distinction, then we're always torn in between these two areas.
mm,
Now, most of the world is not torn at all. Most of the world is just in that one area of desire,
mm,
desire for power, desire for sex, desire for importance,
mm,
desire for goods, worldly goods, etc. And the idea of the will never comes in. That it's the motive power of the life of the soul.
mm.
Continue.
The leader of the journey, the captain of the march, the first and most ancient priest of our sacrifice is the will. This will is not the wish of the heart or the demand or preference of the mind. to which we often give the name. It is the inmost, dominant, and often veiled conscious force of our being and of all being, tapas, shakti, shraddha, and sovereignly determines our orientation, and of which the intellect and the heart are more or less blind and automatic servants and instruments. From synthesis.
This is a little difficult. Yes, it's true. But he says that will is the leader of the journey,
Yeah,
the priest of our sacrifice.
yeah.
It is not has nothing to do with the wish of the heart, which often can be misleading.
Hmm.
And Mother is very clear, and Sri Aurobindo very clear about that the heart is not the ultimate decider of the destiny of the body
Hmm.
because it's too open to error. The
Hmm.
psychic being is behind the heart,
Hmm.
and it is the controller. So we have here now the will is not the wish of the heart.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the demands or preferences of the mind, which we usually attribute to the will, but it is the inmost dominant, but it's often veiled, an often veiled conscious force of our being and of all being. And then you miss that word, that sovereignly determines. So all of that sovereignly determines our orientation, and of which the intellect and the heart are more or less blind and automatic servants and instruments.
Hmm.
If we can understand this definition of will from Sri Aurobindo, we will make a great progress.
Hmm.
So,
Will is conscious power and the conscious act of force of being from the life divine. And Mother says, will, power of consciousness turned towards effectuation.
so that will is the power of consciousness.
Hmm.
Sri Aurobindo says it's just above. Will is conscious power
Yeah.
and conscious active force and being. And Mother says when this power of consciousness is turned towards effectuation, towards
Hmm.
realization, that
Hmm.
is will. That is truly will.
Hmm.
Now we go on with Savitri.
And today, I was reading Synthesis with my friend, and we were reading this chapter, Godward Emotions, where he is describing how the as a buck sometimes where they start really like asking uh, desires where they are on the at the surface level, but that is only a way to go deeper. And even if a prayer is started there, what remains of it is faith, aspiration, and will.
Yes.
Yeah,
And all of these are heard by the divine,
yeah,
even when they're a little bit garbled or distorted. They're
yeah.
still heard as good. Now, have we done fate? I think we've done fate,
I
no?
think we have done faith. Yeah.
So let's go back now to Savitri because he's now
Going to
being
speak to
very
the queen.
strong.
Yeah. O queen, stand back from that stupendous scene. Come not between her and her hour of fate. Her hour must come, and none can intervene. Think not to turn her from her heaven sent task. Strive not to save her from her own high will.
Carry on.
Thou hast no place in that tremendous strife. Thy love and longing are not arbiters there. Leave the world's fate and her to God's sole guard. Even if he seems to leave her to her lone strength, even though all falters and falls and sees an end, and the heart fails, and only our death and night, God given her strength, can battle against doom, even on a brink where death alone seems close, and no human strength can hinder or can help. Think not to intercede with the hidden will. Intrude not twixt her spirit and its foes, but leave her to her mighty self and fate.
Oh, it is so powerful.
Yeah. Like he's really like drawing the line with the queen. He's like, don't you cross this.
Yes, but he's even saying more than that. He's saying something that has poignantly touched my heart for these 60 years.
Mm,
He says, even if he seems to leave her
mm,
own strength, that
mm,
even if God seems to
mm,
leave her, doesn't
mm.
say he does leave her, even if he
It
seems to leave
seems, yeah,
her own strength,
yeah.
even though all falters and falls and sees an end. And we have heard how mother would scream in pain.
Mm,
I would stand down by the samadhi and hear her screaming in pain
mm,
because she was close to having to dissolve the body.
mm,
I think I talked to you about Dr. Bisht and how mother asked him. She says, if I can live to 100, it will.
mm.
And he said, Mother, not possible.
Yeah,
Body,
yeah.
body is too far gone. And
Mm,
that line that is so poignant, and the heart fails, and only are death and night. And mother's heart failed on the physical plane. It
mm,
had to give up.
mm,
But there's a comma there, and he says, God given her strength can battle against doom, even on a brink where
mm,
death alone seems close.
mm,
That was her battle, and no human strength could help her in that. And so he says, don't get involved with the hidden will.
mm,
Don't intrude between her spirit and its force.
mm,
Leave her to her mighty self and fate.
mm,
And we see from the agenda, and also a bit from these notes on the way, which actually I believe Sat Prem condensed, and we would wait to receive the bulletin every 3 months
mm,
to read what about the notes on the way, what
mm,
was talking, what was she going through, what was happening. So we would get something of that, which is in much more detail in the agenda, but we would get the essence of it every
mm.
month when the bulletin came out.
Okay.
So I think it's time for you to read from the beginning.
Yeah.
It might be nice if you could read actually a lot more. Uh, if you could try to.
Should I read the rest where Narad is returning back,
No,
or
that'll be another day.
okay?
What you have to read now is only about Savitri, and there's quite a bit.
Okay. So where do I start?
Well, maybe
Today's
461, a day may come.
okay.
She
Yeah.
must stand
Yeah.
unhelped.
A day may come when she must stand unhelped on a dangerous brink of the world's doom and hers, carrying the world's future on her lonely breast, carrying the human hope in a heart left sole to conquer or fail on a last desperate verge, alone with death and close to extinction's edge. Her single greatness in that last dire scene must cross alone a perilous bridge in time and reach an apex of world destiny where all is won or all is lost for man. In that tremendous silence, lone and lost, of a deciding hour in the world's fate, in her soul's climbing, in her soul's climbing beyond mortal time, when she stands soul with death or soul with God, apart upon a silent, desperate brink, alone with herself and death and destiny, as on some verge between time and timelessness, when being must end or life rebuild its base, alone she must conquer or alone must fall. No human aid can reach her in that hour. No armored God stands shining at her side. Cry not to heaven, for she alone can save. For this the silent foes came mission down. In her the conscious will took human shape. She only can save herself and save the world. O Queen, stand back from that stupendous scene. Come not between her and her hour of fate. Her hour must come, and none can intervene. Think not to turn her from her heaven sent task. Strive not to save her from her own high will. Thou hast no place in that tremendous strife. Thy love and longing are not arbiters there. Leave the world's fate and her to God's sole guard. Even if he seems to leave her to her lone strength, even though all falters and falls and sees an end, and the heart fails, and only are death and night, God given her strength can battle against doom, even on a brink where death alone seems close, and no human strength can hinder or can help. Think not to intercede with the hidden will. Intrude not twixt her spirit and its foes, but leave her to her mighty self and fate.
Excellent. There are just two little comments.
Yeah.
Can you say the word peril
Peril,
and say the word us?
us,
Perilous,
perilous.
not perilous, or how you
Okay,
pronounce it.
perilous, perilous.
Perilous.
You had corrected this last time also, but I'm missing it. Perilous. Okay.
Now the other word is R, A-R.
Are
Bit, R, bit,
arbid,
hers, arbiters.
arbiters. Okay,
They
arbiters,
are arbiters. So perilous
arbiters.
and arbiters.
Okay, peril, us, perilous.
Perilous and arbiters.
Got it.
Marvelous. Okay.
Okay.
Good work. Really
Thank you.
beautiful reading, and you'll
Thank
be proud to listen to it.
thank you.
Namaste.
Awesome.